Okay, so I was just over at my buddy's channel, Steve from Not Another Cooking Show. He made a video, this was a while ago, called like the best vegetarian sandwich, or the greatest vegetarian sandwich. And I looked at it and it was an eggplant sandwich that looked really good. I really understand why this is probably one of the best vegetarian sandwiches. But I thought, why don't we make it vegan? Why does it have to be vegetarian? Well, there's a few things in the sandwich that makes it vegetarian. One, it's fried eggplant coated in egg. So we're gonna swap the egg out. That's gonna be pretty easy. Second, he uses like a burrata cheese. We've done a bunch of different cheeses on the channel here. I'm gonna whip up a really quick burrata replacement. So let's get started. I have a pretty large eggplant for the sandwich. We're not gonna need anything this big. You probably want kind of like a medium or a smaller eggplant for something like this. All I'm gonna do is just chop the top off, and then what I'm going to do is cut this into planks. I'm gonna cut the smaller side down first, and then we're gonna cut this into 1/4-inch planks. These are gonna be pretty thin. I think the whole point of them being thin is the fact that when you fry them up, they're gonna get kind of firm and be a little bit more meaty. That's gonna make them more like a fried chicken fillet, I would say. I think that's what Steve was even saying in his video. Now, I would say that this is a pretty good sized plank for a sandwich. This is gonna be really nice when it's done. I think the whole point is that when it's thinner, it's going to fry out. A lot more moisture is gonna come out, making the eggplant maybe a little bit more dense, have a little bit more chew to it, and a little bit less like squish, less vegetable taste. I think that's what makes this sandwich good for meat eaters or vegetarians or vegans. I think that's what makes this just a good all-around sandwich. So the next thing Steve does is he salts his eggplant in a colander in a bowl. So the whole point of this is that you're gonna salt the eggplant on both sides, and you're gonna have a little bowl here with the colander that catch all that water that you don't want. And I think this is gonna just be a good way to get rid of a bunch of excess moisture. I mean, that's really what salting eggplant does. I've just never seen it in this method where it's kind of pressed into the colander. This is kind of unique. Put the towel on it, and then he just throws something heavy on his just to kind of press out the water. I have my oil that we're gonna be using for frying later. So let's set this aside. We're gonna let this sit for about 30 minutes. We should press out a decent amount of liquid out of this eggplant. Now, one of the stars of Steve's sandwich was his balsamic dressing that he made. Now, when I make sandwiches, I usually don't mess with balsamic that often. Usually I use balsamic for like dips or even just salads, you know. But this looked really good, and I kind of want to stay on par with the sandwich, see how close we can get it while making it vegan. Now, his dressing was 100% vegan already, so we're just going to match that. And it's just some balsamic vinegar with some olive oil. And in his video, he said it was about a 1 to 1.5 ratio, so I'm just using his recipe from his website. I'll leave a link in the description below for it, but it looks like it's a little bit more than 1 to 1.5 on this end from his recipe. So he might have tweaked the recipe a little bit more since he made the video. Then some Dijon mustard, which the Dijon's gonna help the creaminess. That's what Steve was saying, but I'm also thinking that that's also kind of acting as the emulsifier here for the oil and the balsamic vinegar, along with, he's using some maple syrup. And I'm thinking that the maple syrup, along with the Dijon, is kind of emulsifying all of these ingredients together. Then all Steve did was add a little bit of salt, some black pepper. Then he just threw the lid on his container here, which you could probably make in a mason jar too, and then just shook like crazy. Oh my gosh, I'm getting a workout. Now in his video, he just needed it to coat the spoon, which this does perfectly. It did emulsify. I think that could have been it. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's good. That's really good. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, so I'm just gonna toss this in the fridge. Might have to shake it up again later, we'll see. I'm just kind of curious to see if that separates. Real quick, let me tell you a little bit about today's sponsor, Green Chef. Green Chef is a USDA certified organic company that makes eating well easy and affordable, with plans to fit every kind of lifestyle, including vegan, vegetarian, paleo, and keto. And I got a bunch of good ones today, but we're gonna be making the apricot glazed tofu. I mean, that just sounds awesome. I've made so many Green Chef meals that I just know when I make them that they're gonna be good. And I love how the recipes are quick and easy with step-by-step instructions, chef tips, and photos to guide you along the way. And I love how everything comes pretty much pre-measured, pre-packaged, all the saucings, dressings, and spices. And that way you can get to making your meals in less time. It's a heck of a lot easier to cook. I mean, just look at this. Green Chef never disappoints. So gang, go to greenchef.us/SauceStache125 and use code SauceStache125 to get $125 off, including free shipping on your first box. That's greenchef.us/125 using code SauceStache125. Thanks Green Chef for sponsoring today's video. I am always loving Green Chef. They're so good. Now for our burrata, I wanted the burrata, because burrata is just essentially like mozzarella, and this isn't exactly what it is, but it's mozzarella, and then before the mozzarella is completely formed, cream is added to the center. Sometimes it's like the mozzarella curd cream, like the curd and whey. That's added to the center, and then the mozzarella is tightened up. So it's kind of like a package, like a mozzarella cheese package that has cream inside. I've tried to make plant-based versions of this and I've been kind of successful. I've had some very good runs of it. But to make that would probably take quite a bit, and it takes a lot longer to make than what I would want to do for just making a sandwich on a Tuesday like I'm doing today. So I think the way to do it is just some things that I had in my fridge. This is honestly what I'm trying. Just some mozzarella cheese, just some mozzarella shredded cheese. This is Violife, which is 100% vegan. I'm gonna do probably a cup of this, I'm thinking, into a little blender or food processor. Now this doesn't have to be like the shreds, it could be any mozzarella. I think it would work. I would just throw them in large chunks. Now, if you had some like cashew milk or something, I wanna add that creaminess of like a cashew cream. I don't really have time to make a cashew milk right now. Again, this is just me making a sandwich, so how would I do it? Really, all I'm gonna do is just take that cheese with about a tablespoon of vegan butter. I think vegan butter is gonna have a nice flavor, and it's gonna kinda help this cream up a little bit more. And then we're gonna add about 2 tablespoons of hot water. I'm boiling some hot water right now. What I'm gonna do is just throw the lid on this and then pulse it to see if we get like a nice creamy mixture. We might need to add some more water or even a little bit of olive oil. This is perfect. Really like the way this came out. It's nice and smooth. It has a really nice kind of cream-like consistency to it. Really nice taste. I'm gonna pop this back in the refrigerator. It should firm back up. But because we added that extra liquid, a little bit more oils with that, it's gonna make it very spreadable for when we go to finish our sandwich off. I think this is like a perfect vegan burrata replacement. It's gonna work out really well. Okay, so it's been about a half an hour. Our eggplant looks pretty good. We have, I would say about a quarter cup of water got released from the eggplant, so I think that's pretty good. I think that's pretty water released. So at this point I have a separate paper towel, and all I'm gonna do is just kind of pat off these eggplant and make sure they're dry. I'm also out of paper towels, so that's kind of why I'm only using 2 here, along with the one that I had it on top. I'm not being cheap, it's all half right now without running to the grocery store again. Okay, so we have our eggplants sliced and dried off. They're looking pretty good. We just need to make our breading station. I'm gonna use 2 plates and a bowl for this. We also have our oil heated up in a nice high wall saute pan on the back. We're gonna get that nice and hot, ready to fry, so when these are done, they can go right into the oil. So in Steve's recipe, it says seasoned flour mixture. So, I mean, I don't know exactly what he means by seasoned flour, so I'm just gonna do what I believe is seasoned flour, which is just some flour with salt, pepper, and a little bit of garlic salt. I think that's gonna be pretty good with this recipe. And then the same thing with the panko and breadcrumbs. You just have to find some vegan, some plant-based panko, plant-based breadcrumbs. It's in most grocery stores. Just look at your ingredients. We're gonna do the same thing with that, a 50-50 mix of panko and breadcrumbs, along with some salt, pepper, and garlic salt. And instead of egg, I'm gonna be using just egg, and I'm sure any egg replacer is going to work just fine in this mixture. To bread these, all we need to do is go into our flour mixture first, into your egg mixture, making sure that it is fully coated. keeping one hand wet and then into your panko mixture. I don't think my plates are big enough, to be honest. I could have probably done a better breading section. Okay, so we have 3 pieces of eggplant breaded, pretty good. I'll tell you, Steve's did look a little bit better. And I'm not sure if that's just because of my breading technique. I think Steve had definitely a better breading technique. I'm gonna move on. I have all these other eggplants that I can bread, but really right now I'm just trying to make one sandwich. I'll use these a little bit later for Monica and I for ourselves. Now Steve had a cool trick where the oil was ready when he stuck a piece of wood down in, like a wood dowel into the oil. And when the oil bubbled around the wood, it was ready to go. I think my oil's ready to go because I believe it's just below the smoke point. But let's give it a test and see. We're just gonna throw these in. I'm gonna follow Steve's trick where he was constantly flipping them, making sure that they stayed golden brown on both sides. And then we're gonna make our sandwich. Now for Steve, he didn't toast his bread. He just wrapped the whole loaf in some foil, threw it in the oven to kind of warm it up, which made the inside soft, made the outside nice and chewy. All we're going to do is cut our bread in half, which I am failing at because I don't have a sharp serrated knife. There we go. Ooh, tore that up. Next, we're going to spread our burrata spread on the bottom here. And you can see how good this looks. And you don't want to be light. Now we're going to drizzle on some of our balsamic, along with a pinch of salt, a handful of the burrata. Now Steve says the trick with sandwiches is proportions. You know, I like my proportions to be a little bit more, I think, and that's okay. Now we're going to go with our eggplant cutlets. Want them to be a little overlapping. Okay with that. Now we're just going to top with our peppers. Now we just need to spread some of the balsamic onto the top bun. And now we should have the best vegan sandwich ever. Slowly cut with a serrated knife. Boom. I mean, look at that. So I really don't know how my buddy Steve makes everything look so incredibly good, because it's like when I make a sandwich, it just looks like, doesn't look as appealing as his. I mean, it still looks good, but I mean, his is like so balanced, you know, like, I don't know, but I'm sure this is still incredible. Oh my God, wow. Wow. Like, wow. A lot better than I expected. I was looking forward to like a really good sandwich. I was looking forward to a really good sandwich. I figured if my buddy Steve made it, it was probably good. This is beyond expectations good. Like, this is mind-blowingly good. This is really good. Really good. Like, the combination of flavors with that balsamic dressing. This is probably one of the greatest vegan sandwiches that I've had. And I know there's always these people that always complain. I'm not saying that this tastes like meat. I'm just saying it's really, really dang good. Really dang good.